Hello, Mesa Verde. Welcome back to another video. This week we're talking brandy. What is brandy? Brandy's distilled wine. All it really comes down to. You take a wine, you distill it, typically they age it in barrels. Brandy. So, a couple of brandies everybody's probably heard of would be like cognac or Armagnac. Most well-known brandies out there, both French. Other brandies out there, there's all sorts of ones, American brandies, fruit brandies, things like that. Applejack is probably one of the most well-known American fruit brandies. Fruit brandy in France goes by eau de vie, which is the water of life. So there's all sorts of different kinds of brandies out there, but at the end of the day, basic brandy is made from distilled wine. Where'd brandy come from? Why'd they make it? It's actually kind of funny. Traders were trying to pay less money in taxes. They took wine, bad wine, distilled it into something that they had stronger alcohol percentage and less volume, paid less taxes on it, and then the thought was, well, we'll just water it back down, make more wine, sell the wine off. But they found that the bad wine was not worth it, that the brandy tasted so much better than the bad product they could have turned it back into, that they kept it as brandy. So much so that brandy actually overtook the trade market as an alcohol currency for the trade to the New World. Prior to that, it was Madeira, port, things like that, the fortified wine, and it would eventually be replaced by rum. But in this time, for about 200 years, brandy was king. And in certain parts of the world, brandy is still king. One place, actually in the United States, Wisconsin. You wouldn't think this, but Wisconsin has a love of brandy. You can actually go to a lot of bars and order a lot of well-known cocktails Wisconsin style. And what that means, they use brandy. Wisconsin Manhattan, Wisconsin Old Fashioned. That's all it is. It's that basic cocktail with brandy instead of whatever the actual spirit of the traditional cocktail is. All right, so Korbel is responsible for that. California Korbel Brandy. They brought brandy to the World Fair in Wisconsin. Wisconsin natives, German population, loved it so much. Korbel is still the top selling liquor in Wisconsin to this day. And then when it comes to cognac, just to clarify this, people get very confused by the designations on the cognacs. Very special on this one, VS is also what it's known as. This one has VSOP, very special Old Pale, XO, extra old. It also can be called the Napoleon style. This one actually doesn't have anything on it, just says Paradis. They call this a Hors d'Age. What that means is it's so old that it doesn't qualify as these ones do. The very special VSOP XO, those actually designate age. When they make a cognac, they blend various brandies together with maybe some of those fruit brandies I mentioned before that come from the region of Cognac, and the lowest and the youngest brandy in the blend is what designates what it is. VS, very special, is 3 years. VSOP is 4 years. XO is 6 years. And a Hors d'Age has no age designation, but it's usually about 10 years. With that, one of the most well-known Hors d'Age is Louis XIII. Louis XIII, made by Remy Martin, makes the most well-known of all of them. It's very expensive, high-end cognac. We don't have that here. We have something that some people would actually say is better than that. Less well-known, but still extremely high quality, is the Hennessy Paradis. So Hennessy and Remy are the two oldest continuously run cognac houses in all of France and Cognac. And the Paradis name comes from the Paradis cognac cellar that they had at Hennessy, where they would actually have all sorts of cognacs dating as far back as 1880. And then the Paradis is a blend of all those cognacs to make the right flavor profile, including over 30 different types of fruit brandy. And then you get a $1,000 bottle of brandy that's got some brandy in it that's over 100 years old. It's good stuff, let me tell you. I highly recommend you try it if you have a nice occasion you're celebrating. Maybe it's a birthday or something. Have some of that. You won't regret it. All right, first drink we're gonna make, It's called the Brandy Cocktail. It's a hybrid almost between like an old fashioned and a Manhattan. And if you were to order it, you'd probably be ordering it around like the 1800s. And if you really want to order it properly, you'd order it as a fancy brandy cocktail. The fancy part means it comes with an orange peel. Ooh, or an orange twist like we call it nowadays. Just adds aromatics and flavor to the drink. And that's a brandy cocktail. So the brandy cocktail is 2 ounces of brandy. We're going to use the Corbel, ½ ounce of orange curacao, 2 dashes of Angostura, and 2 dashes of Peychaud's bitters. Shake, strain into a martini glass, and garnish with a lemon peel. Second drink we're making today is called the Sidecar. Sidecar was invented during World War I in France, actually, in Paris. The drink was made because people in sidecars and the motorcycles driving around the city, a couple people in particular at this one place called the New York Bar would order the cocktail, something like it that they could drink that was easy and refreshing. It's a really simple drink. It's kind of like a brandy version of a lemon drop. It can be very refreshing, especially as the weather starts to warm up and we're getting more in that pool season. So we have 2 ounces of cognac, or you can use Armagnac if you prefer. 1 ounce of orange curacao. You can always use Cointreau if you prefer that. And then 3/4 of an ounce of lemon juice. You're going to shake it, serve it in a martini glass. Sugar rim is optional. And then garnish with a lemon twist. Final drink we're going to make is called the Vieux Carré. This is actually my all-time favorite cocktail. It's a little harder to order at a lot of places because they don't necessarily have all the ingredients, but I absolutely love it. So this drink was invented in New Orleans in 1930, right around the time Prohibition was starting to end. Vieux Carré is French, actually stands for the Old Quarter, or the French Quarter as we know it nowadays. This cocktail has a couple of ingredients you may not have lying around your house, namely the Benedictine. Benedictine is a herbal liqueur. It's been around since 1510, invented by the Benedictine monks of a Benedictine monastery up in Normandy, France, so northern France. And it's a blend of all sorts of herbs and spices and things like that. The recipe's been closely guarded secret since 1510, and you can use it in place of a lot of things like sweet vermouth and Manhattans, or you can use it as an additive to flavor, such as in an old-fashioned. So highly recommend you try it. If you've never had it before, you'd be surprised by how versatile and how much it can really add to a cocktail. All right, so in this cocktail, we're going to do 3/4 of an ounce of rye whiskey, 3/4 of an ounce of cognac, 3/4 of an ounce of sweet vermouth, a ½ ounce of Benedictine, 2 dashes of Peychaud's, 2 dashes of Angostura. We're going to stir it in a cocktail glass with a large rock and garnish it with a nice maraschino cherry. And that, Mesa Verde, is how you make my favorite drink, the Vieux Carré.
This video stuff is tough. I gotta get ready for a board meeting. Cheers.
Wait a second.